Good evening and welcome to the Penfield Central School District Meet the Candidates Night. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our moderator for the evening, Mrs. Sherry Johnson. She's the Executive Director of Monroe County School Board's meetings, so she'll take it from here. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. I also would like to welcome you to the Penfield Meet the Candidate Night. And I want to also thank all of the Penfield parent groups who worked to get this set up and the Penfield Central School District for their support in getting this out to the community. Tonight, we have 9 candidates running for a seat on the Penfield Central School District Board of Education. I'm going to introduce those to you, and then we shall get started. And I'm not sure how they'll be on the screen. So if you want to just give a little wave, a little hand wave when I say your name. In order of the ballot, we have Miss Susan Kavanagh, Ms. Catherine Dean, Ms. Christin Harley, Mr. Bill Yaeger, Mr. Mark Elledge, Ms. Nicole Phelps, Mr. Bandele Akinniyi. Did I say that right? Pretty close. Thank you. Mr. Andris Silins and Ms. Gisele Groulx. You can't necessarily see her. She was here. We were having some difficulties in the beginning for technology, but I assure you she is here and will be answering questions. To the community, thank you for your thoughtful questions. Due to the number of candidates this year, we probably won't be able to get to all of your questions that you sent in, but I've been able to combine some similar questions in order to help you to get to better know these candidates, and we will try to get to as many as possible. To the candidates, thank you for participating tonight. Providing community residents the opportunity to meet and listen to the viewpoints of those that are asking to serve as elected board trustees is key to participating in our democratic process as an informed voter. So let's get on to the evening's format. Each of you will be given 2 minutes for your open introductory statements. Please watch the timekeeper. And Sharon, thank you for doing this tonight, who will hold up a yellow card to let you know that 30 seconds remain and a red card when time is up. This will be the same for each question asked as well as your closing statements. We will strictly be adhering to that timing order in order to be fair to all of you and the viewing community. Your opening and closing statements will be, as you know, in the order that you are on the ballot. However, what we normally do for this procedure, for this format, is to allow each of you to answer one question first. Unfortunately, that would take us 4 hours, and I don't think any of you want to sit here for 4 hours to do that. So I have developed a rotation to make sure that there is some opportunity for that. Your first question from the community will be in ballot order. Your second one, we will go in reverse ballot order. And for the third question, we'll start with you, Mr. Elledge, to go from the middle, and then we'll go around. And I will keep you abreast of that. You don't have to be worried about how. I will remind you where that question is and what order you are in. I am happy to repeat any question that you would like me to. So let's get to it with opening statements. And so, Ms. Kavanagh, you get to go first. 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you. Good evening to everyone. Thank you, Sherry, Sharon, and the district for organizing this event. And thanks to all who are in attendance and listening in. It is a privilege to have this opportunity for you to get to know me and guide me in representing you. I am Susan Kavanagh. As the mom of a 2nd grader and 11-year resident of Penfield, I am committed to giving back to this community. I'm passionate about the future of this district and the state of education as we know it today. I am running alongside Nicole Phelps and Andris Silins because together we are committed to driving positive change. First, I will advocate for a full return to in-person learning for all students. We need to get our most vulnerable population back to school. Community transmission rates indicate that there are no guarantees for the fall. We must advocate now at the highest level of state leadership and help move the needle forward to get our 6th through 12 students back full-time to the classroom. Waiting for guidance will not get us there. As leaders, we must be proactive. I share with my running mates a renewed commitment to student learning and achievement as a priority for the district. We will foster transparency among the board to our parents and community. Finally, after a decade of tax increases, I will uphold fiscal responsibility and take a very deep look at district spending. My goals and priorities are reflective of what this district needs: innovative and integrative technology, a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, higher education readiness, curriculum development, transparency, engagement with the community, enhancing returning enrichment to our students, and most importantly, fiscal responsibility. With over 20 years of board leadership experience at the national and local level, I have a solid understanding of what it means to serve those I'm elected to represent. I'm excited for the chance to collaborate and work with this district in supporting our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Dean, Ms. Catherine Dean, 2 minutes for you.
Thank you, Sherry, and everyone for tuning in this evening. I am Catherine Dean and have been serving on the Penfield School Board for 9 years. Of all the years in this role, this year, without a doubt, has been the most painful and difficult year. Everyone has suffered and struggled in one way or another. We have all experienced COVID, and it has been mostly painful, but it has also allowed for a spirit of cooperation, patience, and coming together to help each other and our students navigate this difficult time. I am running for re-election with the endorsement of the Penfield Education Association. I am grateful for their endorsement and their recognition in my belief in the Penfield School District, our tireless administrators, our amazing teachers, our reliable support staff, and this community. I am a 27-year resident. My 3 sons graduated from Penfield, and I am grateful for the high-quality education they received. The district believes that all students belong to all of us, that we treat each other respectfully, and that we work collaboratively and cooperatively together. That is the focus of this school board, and I am proud to be a part of it. However, I am aware of my limitations. I am one of a 7-member government body. We work together. As a board member, I have no authority to act on my own. The school board itself has no ability or authority to defy New York State mandates to fully reopen schools. Part of my responsibility is to uphold the Constitution and follow state education law. I do, however, listen to the concerns and frustrations of our community, and I perform my job with their concerns in mind. I also delight in the accomplishments of our students, and I'm so proud when they show their spirit, especially in tough times. Thank you for being here, taking the time to get to know all of us, and I ask for your support on May 18th. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Christin Harley, you get to go next for 2 minutes.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for joining us tonight or for catching up later with this recording. I am Christin Harley, and I would be honored to represent you on the Penfield School Board. For the past 20 years, I have been advocating for children every single day as an elementary teacher in the West Irondequoit School District. I believe strongly in public education, and I know I can be an asset to the school board here in Penfield. As a teacher, I work tirelessly to ensure all students' needs are met, and I promise to do the same here for all the stakeholders in Penfield, the children, the families, the faculty and staff, and all the community members. I promise to bring all people to the table to ensure that all voices are heard and respected. Penfield schools are highly revered in Monroe County. It is why my husband and I chose to move to Penfield. I'd like to work hard to not only continue this reputation, but to also help it to grow. We have 6 children, 3 that are graduates of Penfield, and 3 who are currently part of the student body. We have a junior, a freshman, and a 7th grader. This gives me a pulse of what is going on in the community. Through the years, we have established positive relationships with the faculty and staff, as well as a variety of other stakeholders. As a member of the board, I will listen empathetically to all voices, and I will always keep the children's best interest as my first priority. We are Penfield strong, and we are that when we work collaboratively and do what is best for all kids. I will work to foster the core commitments of this district, remembering that all students do indeed belong to all of us, treating others with honesty, dignity, and respect, and positive collaboration, cooperation, and communication, while working to attain our district goals of academic achievement, partnerships, and fiscal responsibility. I would be honored to have your vote on May 18th. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Bill Yaeger, 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is William Yaeger, and I'm seeking a second term as board member for the Penfield School District. I'd like to begin by thanking the PAB for hosting this event, as well as the Monroe County School Boards Association, especially Sherry Johnson, for moderating tonight. Finally, I'd like to thank the community for their continued support for our schools, and a very special thank you to the Penfield Education Association for their endorsement. I've been a member of the Penfield Board of Education since 2018. My reasons for running at that time were the following: having a family firmly rooted here for over the last 15 years and knowing I would have 3 children in the district, I wanted to lend my experience to give back to the community. And to be honest, with my 3 kids, I wasn't sure just paying my taxes would be enough. I wish to see my kids in a school that was reflecting diversity and inclusion, but not just for them. And I'm proud to see this has been happening. I wish to see my kids somewhere where attention is being paid to social emotional learning. I wanted to help facilitate a better balance created for all of our students, faculty, and staff that would lessen anxiety, increase the probability for their success, and ultimately foster well-rounded, aware, and confident students. I've also seen evidence of this. These will remain to be my top and primary priorities and goals. In that time, I have served on the Audit, Health and Safety, Reopening and Diversity, as well as the Equity and Inclusion Committees. 22 years worth of these experiences in education and the lessons that have come with them give me the confidence to help guide the district forward. Having 3 young children who are in 2 short years will be equally spread across Cobbles, Bay Trail, and the high school is my motivation to help ensure all of our students have access to all that Penfield and the Penfield School District has to offer. It is often remarked that public education is the best way to improve our lives. I believe this fully. However, it was John Dewey, American philosopher and educator, who made an important distinction. He said that education is not preparation for life. It is education. Education is life itself. And I would offer that we have all gone through an education over the past 14 months. As a teacher, a father of young children and husband, I ask humbly that for your vote in the coming election.
Thank you. And next, Mr. Mark Elledge, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Sherry. My name is Mark Elledge, and I'm running for re-election to the Board of Education. I'd like to thank Sherry. I would also like to thank the community for their support and to the Penfield Education Association for their endorsement of my candidacy. I've been a member of the Board of Education for 8 years, and I'm currently the board president. I have 2 daughters, one who graduated in 2019 and one who is a junior in high school this year. The Board of Education is a level of government that is closest to our community. By being a member of the Board of Education, it is our service to the community by making a meaningful difference in the lives of our students. During this time, I have worked through issues like Common Core, standardized testing, the tax cap, a mental health crisis, and now a pandemic. As a board member, my responsibility is to understand and help the district build for the long-term needs that create a strong foundation on which the district rests. This allows us to meet the near-term and unanticipated needs of the students, community, and district. My guide for defining our needs are our 3 district goals: academic achievement and excellence and the whole student, partnerships with the community, and fiscal responsibility. This year, the pandemic has been all-encompassing. From the beginning of the school year until now, the science and understanding has evolved while the state regulations remain static. I have worked with the district to find the best educational model that is available to us, one that brings as much stability and normalcy as possible while keeping our students safe. Each decision is made resulted from many hours of discussion and was thoughtful and deliberate. I look forward to sharing more about my experience on the board in tonight's forum. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Ms. Nicole Feltz, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thanks, Sherry. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. My name is Nicole Feltz. I'm a lifelong Rochester resident, and I live in Penfield with my husband, Eric, who is a Penfield High School graduate. We have 2 beautiful children, Morgan, who is in 3rd grade, and Nolan, who is in kindergarten. They both go to Scribner Road Elementary, which we love. When Eric and I were deciding where to raise our family, Penfield was the clear choice. The sense of community and excellent schools were exactly what we wanted for our small children. I am running for Penfield School Board alongside Andris Silins and Susan Kavanagh because I believe that it is time for change on our board. We need a fresh perspective and strong leadership to make sure that our children are taken care of. I am a passionate advocate for my children as well as yours, and I am a member of the PTA and a room mom for my son's kindergarten class. I have 18 years of leadership experience, and I'm an active volunteer for veterans in need. I have the utmost respect for Penfield teachers, staff, and administration. This has been a very challenging year, and everyone has worked very hard for our children. I would be proud to serve on the board and give back to the community that I love. I would like to first focus on getting all students back in school. Our kids need to be in school for their academic success, but most importantly, for their social and emotional well-being. As a board member, I would like to focus on student achievement and well-being, partnership and communication with the community, and a strong focus on fiscal responsibility. I would be honored to collaborate with this district and promise to advocate and do what is in the best interest of all of our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Bandele Akinniyi, you get 2 minutes.
Good evening. I would like to thank all the viewers at home, the organizers of this event tonight. I really appreciate it. My name is Bandele Akinniyi. These are challenging times and difficult times we're going through. I'm running for the Board of Education of Penfield because I am passionate in education and I have the expertise and leadership and management that is needed in this office to make it successful. I am a respected manager who leads through effective motivation, training, and able to achieve strong results. I have several years of leadership experience in food and restaurant industry and systems operation in the public education sector. The school district and board will benefit from my career record of building stable, high-performance management teams and proven ability to work with diverse groups of people. These strengths, along with my strategic business sense and uncompromising work ethic, will enable me to work effectively with the superintendent, parents, and the community stakeholders. I am running to support the superintendent in promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, and to work in partnership with other board members to safely return our kids, our students, as soon as possible. Again, in order to be successful, we must start to build trust. The rest will follow. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Mr. Andris Silins, you have 2 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Andris Silins. I'd like to start by thanking our moderators, Sherry and Sharon. You're doing a great job so far, and all the viewers at home for staying informed and taking the time to view this Meet the Candidates night. It's a really important night for our school district. I love our Penfield community. I was born and raised in Penfield. I'm a lifelong resident of over 40 years. I graduated from Penfield School System, where I attended Cobbles Elementary, Bay Trail Middle School, and Penfield High School. And it'll be 18 years this fall that I married Laura, my high school sweetheart. And we're both really fortunate to be able to raise our 3 children, Paige, Hunter, and Cole, here in our hometown. I would bring to the school board experiences such as being a former middle school and high school teacher, a former executive board member for the Genesee Conservation League, and a current member for the Town of Penfield Zoning Board of Appeals. I'm rooted in principles and lifelong learning and civics and supporting our local community, because local gets it right more often than not. I will bring to the school board a vision that includes a renewed commitment to student achievement, strengthening school board leadership, a renewed focus on fiscal responsibility and spending within our means, enhancing school board partnerships and community partnerships with the school stakeholders and outside organizations, and strongly advocating for schools to be back in person full-time at all grade levels. As your board member, I will look to all the parents and the community members to serve as your voice at our school district, and I would appreciate your support at the elections. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Gisele Groulx, 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. My name is Gisele Groulx, and thank you to everyone for joining this meeting. I've lived in the Penfield School District since the age of 7.
I think we lost her.
And
I think so.
can you hear me? Yes. I'm here.
Okay, if we get her back, then we will continue. We will let her.
She's there.
She's there. Okay. Gisele, can you hear us?
Let me know. Yes, just let me know when you can hear me.
Go ahead.
Hello?
2 minutes
Go
for your
ahead with my
opening statement, Gisele.
Thank you. And thanks, everyone, for joining the meeting. I'm Gisele Groulx. I've lived in the Penfield School District since the age of 7. I'm a graduate of Penfield High. I don't have kids of my own, but I've always been involved in the lives of the kids around me, babysitting, and I was a nanny for a while, and very involved in the lives of my nieces and nephews, and even great-nieces and nephews. And I'm very involved in my church and the children's events there, such as an annual Easter egg hunt, Vacation Bible School, and Trunk or Treat as a safe Halloween alternative. And I believe that when parents send their kids from their safe, loving home to school, they should expect the same type of nurturing environment. I believe Penfield District, with its 97% graduation rate, has a track record of helping students achieve good outcomes and helping them prepare for the next part of their lives. Schools should be safe places that mainly focus on imparting knowledge as well as fostering community responsibility. I believe teaching is a learned skill, but it's also a gift. And I love watching gifted teachers in the classroom holding the attention of the students and helping them learn. I do not have the teaching gene, but I would like to contribute to my local schools. I don't have a specific agenda, but I believe that by becoming a board member, I can try to do my part to keep up the tradition of excellence in education in Penfield. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. That concludes our opening statements. So now we will go back to the top of the ballot order, and you will all have 2 minutes to respond to each of the questions that I will ask you. So, and I'm going to, for the community, I'm going to use first names from here on out. I have permission to do that. And also to the candidates, please also, again, continue to watch Sharon to make sure that you're staying within the time frame. This is a combined question. There were 2 questions on roles, and this is a combined question of those 2 questions. How do you view the role of the Board of Education, not only as leaders for the school district, but also your role as leaders on issues in the greater community, the greater Penfield community? And Susan, you go first, 2 minutes.
Great, thank you, Sherry. So I think first and foremost, the role of the board is accountability and a system of checks and balances. It's our job to listen to the needs of the community, to process all those thoughts, to listen to what they have to say, and then create a plan of action that the superintendent should be executing on. You know, I think one of the things that the board really has to be responsible for is executing the will of the people. Listen to the stakeholders, hear the calls to action, and act accordingly. We are the elected body with fiduciary responsibilities, and we have to hold the superintendent and the district accountable for securing the best possible education for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine, your turn, 2 minutes.
Sorry, I was muted. The role of the board is mainly to, it's a governing body, and it is the role of the board to instate, policies to oversee the superintendent, to hire the superintendent, and to follow New York State guidelines, uphold the Constitution. Our role is leaders is to be good stewards, not only for taxpayer money, but for the example we set for our students. It is not the role of the school board to enact the will of the people per se. It is the role of the school board to stay within the confines of state education law, state financial law, to follow the New York State educational law guidelines for school safety, curriculum, and for overseeing taxes and revenue. As a collaborative body, we work together to ensure that the students are the #1 priority, their social emotional well-being, their accomplishments. We share in their accomplishments and when things are not so good. We've had trying times in Penfield, and the board helps the superintendent with issues at hand, and we support him in his role. So it's a collaborative effort, and it's designed to bring about the best possible outcome for our students with an eye on fiscal responsibility and the welfare of the whole student. Thank you.
Thank you. And Christin, 2 minutes, same question.
Yes, so I believe the role of a board member is to first and foremost to make sure that we have a common goal, which is putting our students first and doing what's best for all students. In addition to that, I think it's important that we represent all of our stakeholders, and we do that by having positive relationships with them. I think it's important to remember that as a board, we are a governing body, and we have to follow state mandates. In addition to that, we are there to serve as counsel for the school district and for the superintendent. It's kind of like, the board on Golisano Children's Hospital. I'm not going to go necessarily tell people how to do their job because they are the experts. I look to the people in the field that are educators, that are in there day in and day out. They're experiencing these situations. We're looking to them to see what they need. Trusting them, but also working together to provide counsel to help them improve in their skills and being a team player. As a model, as far as in the community goes, I think it's important that as a board, we are just that. I think, remember, we represent our town of Penfield, we represent our school district. So I think when we walk out our front door, it's important that what we're doing is respected by people. I think people need to look up to us and say, hey, that's a board member. They're willing to listen and they're hearing our concerns. It's also important to remember that board members are sometimes that final decision, and we might refer people to the correct person, but we may not always be able to comment the way that people would like us to comment. But being empathetic and listening and having relationships are extremely important.
Thank you. Bill? Next, 2 minutes.
Siri, can you repeat the question?
I absolutely can. How do you view the role of the Board of Education, not only as leaders for the school district, but also your role as leaders on issues in the greater Penfield community?
Thank you. Well, to touch on some of the roles of the board member, again, just to reiterate, for me, it was being passionate about providing this for students, not just their education, their academic education, but the more of the idea of the whole student. It's important to be willing to put yourself in a position to consistently learn. It's a lot, you need to be in a place of being able to, as people have already said, truly listen to what people are saying, the board members around you or individuals you're working with around you, groups you're working with, and then to have those discussions. Also to work to consensus and then to support the consensus decision. But as far as into the community, I think one of our biggest roles is to really, I heard one of the other candidates mention the word counsel, and that counsel comes from being plugged into the community, listening to what you're hearing from all sorts of people in the community, reaching out to different groups of people, responding to groups of people who are reaching out in a timely manner and trying to work with everybody to get a full understanding of what is best for the children, the community, and the stakeholders, and then to bring that information back again to the board for discussion and for other people's input. And then it's from that point that people have to, and that we are working towards consensus and really valuing as many of the opinions and input as we can from our community.
Thank you. Mark, same question, 2 minutes.
Thank you. Well, the role of the board is to represent all of the community, to set and drive goals and policies to ensure that all of our students reach their full potential and are college and career ready with the strength and resilience. Essentially, we want to make sure we have the whole student. Our job is to advocate. As a government body, we have our own education laws. We must be able to work within the board's authority and understand that there's no authority as an individual. We must be able to work with the rest of the board to find a consensus and to commit to supporting a consensus decision. We have to listen to and work with a wide array of stakeholders, including parents, teachers, and community members, and state government partners, to make thoughtful and deliberate decisions that support Penfield's missions, visions, and goals. One of the unique roles of the board is to advocate. We are really representatives to the other parts of the New York State government and to the federal government. We meet with our government representatives, we meet with our state agencies like the State Education Department, and we meet with our federal representatives to make sure that they drive legislation that supports us. So our role is both community level to support our students and also at a legislative level, at a representative level to represent you to other government bodies. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole, next, same question, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Sherry. I view the role of the board, because they are elected by the community, the role of a board member is to listen to the community, to parents, to taxpayers within the community, but also to provide oversight and accountability to the superintendent. And act in the best interest of all of our kids, right? It's a school board, so we have to put our kids first. Another really important role of the Penfield School Board is to approve the budget and to set the tax rate. I think that's a huge responsibility on the school board. And as far as the role of board members in the community, the board members attend Penfield events and, just show that we're there supporting all students and doing what's in their best interest and showing them that the board is there to support them. Thank you.
Thank you. Bandele, you get next, 2 minutes, same question.
Thank you. The first part of the question are students. Again, as a board members, our job is to listen to the voice of our scholars, of our students. Knowing what they need, we can enable them to be successful today and also in the future. Our goal as board members is to make sure we hold ourselves accountable of their success. Likewise, all the stakeholders in the district. When it comes to the communities are entrusting us with their precious commodities, our kids, their kids. It is incumbent upon us to make sure whatever decisions we make, it surrounds their safety today and again in the future. As board members, we are caretakers. We're supposed to safeguard all of the district resources, the community resources. They work hard to put us there, and our job is to make sure we protect all the resources they gave us to run the school district. Above all, hold ourselves accountable first in order to hold others accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Andris, 2 minutes.
Sherry, would you please repeat the question?
Sure.
Thank you.
How do you view the role of the Board of Education, not only as leaders for the school district, but also your role as leaders on issues in the greater community?
Excellent, great question. So a school board member, they're elected by the people. And so just like with any government official, they are elected to represent the people in their body of work that they're working in. And in this case, it's the school district for them. They set the tax rates because they have the fiduciary duties to the taxpayers to run the school district. In terms of the financial basis, they approve the budgets. And they set the vision and the policies that the school district and the administration will use to, educate students. The primary responsibility of a school. if I look at from the view of a community, they are really the public face of the community, of the school. You can attend a board meeting, you can view them, you can see them, you can ask questions of them, you can have comments to them, and that's that separation you can't necessarily have with the school district, but you have it with the school board because you are representing the people for that. And I think the last piece is that they really have to look long term. They look out, several years in advance. You can't just think what's happening next year, what's happening the following year. You have to look farther out and say, this is the vision for our school and these are the steps that we need to take. And then this is how you work with your superintendent to actually fulfill those goals. Thank you.
Thank you. And Gisele, the same question, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I believe everyone sounded like they had great answers, and I agree. We are kind of the bridge between the families, the communities, or the people in the community and their school, and we are obviously responsible for being fiscally responsible with the taxpayers' money and to kind of oversee, not to affect things so much as to be a bridge and hear the community's concerns and then present that to the board and try to make responsible policy as far as curricula and the spending.
Thank you. That ends the first question. Now, the second question, we're going to go in reverse order. So we're going to start with Gisele and we'll end with Susan. And I need to set this question up. Almost half of your community questions that were turned in were on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I can't get to all those questions to you tonight, so I've combined them into one vision question. But the questions that they asked your viewpoints on around diversity, equity, inclusion talked about your viewpoints on inclusive practices, diversifying staff, adopting anti-racist curriculum, teaching critical race theory, advancing the hiring and retention of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, culturally responsive approaches, teaching tolerance and cultural humility. So keeping all of that in mind, my question to you then is, what is your overall vision for diversity, equity, inclusion for the students and staff in the Penfield School District? And Gisele, you get this one first for 2 minutes.
Thank you. That's a lot to think about, but I believe that the main responsibility for teaching that type of thing is in the home. I believe the school supports that teaching from the home. I believe that, of course, we should reach out and try to diversify the staff of all the schools, but I believe we also just need to choose the best candidate in all situations as far as new teachers or any of that kind of thing. And I believe we should have curricula that teaches community responsibility and fairness and, I guess, love and care for everyone that kids come across, that they should, I don't know how much we have to push any certain agenda, but I believe we should have inclusion and diversity, definitely. I would just like to kind of see what the curricula looks like before I would decide if that would be appropriate to the age group. So I guess I'm for inclusivity and inclusion and diversity, definitely, in our school district.
Thank you. Andris, you get this one next.
Thank you. When I look at the whole entire picture of this, I look back and I see the various parts, and I look, what does it mean to be, in our country, and these very other aspects. And I think, teaching things like civics and equality and the other parts that really make America what America is great. When you see all the things that's, everyone should be treated the same. All the things our country was founded on, that all people are equal. Those are those things that we should really be pushing, and letting our students know that there are so many great things that, to strive for and to work towards, and that when you start looking at the great things and the aspirations you can have in terms of, all being a part of a community, all working together to the same goals, supporting each other. Those are the kind of aspects, when I look at, how do we want to look at, cultures, things like that. In my mind, I try to always say, how are we all the same? What are our commonalities? What can we all get around together? I think those are some of the really, the strong aspects that I want to focus on when I hear those things. So many times, especially now, there seems to be so much division in our world. And if there's some way that we can come together and say, this is what makes you all the same. You're all part of the Penfield community. You're all, you bring it down to the grade level. You're all in a grade level together. You're all graduating from Penfield. You're all, Team Penfield. And I think that's, just some of those things that we really need to foster and really push that, sense of, togetherness to really foster community at the local level. Thank you.
Thank you. And Deli, you get this one also, 2 minutes.
Thank you. This is a sensitive subject or topic in our country nowadays. However, it's also something that we can overcome. To start or to begin to do that, we must first trust each other. To answer this question, I use a personal experience to illustrate what I'm talking about. In Houston, when I used to live in Texas, I left Houston to go to Waco as a district manager. In that position, the longest term anyone stayed was 3 years. When I went there, the people above me, they know me, they know everything about me, but my employees don't. What did I do when I went there? And they all white people. When I went there, I introduced myself. I let them know the expectations. What I did was to allow them to trust me, to trust in my leadership, in my management. What happened, they believed in what I have to do, what I have to teach them. I was there for 10 years. When I came to Rochester, the same thing. Difficulties working with people. Now, 9 years later, I'm still working with the same people there. Why? Because they trust me. So in our district, in Penfield, again, we must first build the trust in order for the superintendent, our students, and the teachers to follow. And that has to be disseminated throughout the whole district. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Sherry. I would first say that diversity is what makes our country great. We are a diverse group of people in this country, and I am actually the daughter of my father immigrated here from El Salvador and started his family. So diversity is what makes this country great and what makes our schools great. All students need to be exposed to a range of perspectives, and the district has an obligation to provide a safe and engaging learning environment for those students. And, I think that the role of the district is to teach in the classroom, but also to provide materials to parents to teach at home as well. Have conversations at the dinner table and with your family about how, everybody is different in their own way. But to Andris's point, we're all one community and we all go to school together, and diversity is what makes everybody great. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark, your turn. 2 minutes.
Thank you. The district has been working on diversity, equity, inclusion for a couple of years, but over the course of this past year, the 2020, it's really sharpened the need. We've seen so much turmoil in the world and in the country that it's really shown how vitally important it is for our community. Our district has 18% students who associate as minorities, and we have 21% students who are economically disadvantaged. So we have a lot of need, and more need than I think some of our parents realize. For our students, there's several facets to diversity. For some students, it's being able to feel engaged and represented in the instruction that they get. And for other students, it's to be able to give them an understanding of the perspective of other people's lives. That's where incorporating that into our curriculum is something that we've started working on and we are continuing to work on. As part of that, we need to have representation in our teaching staff. Now, we have worked on recruiting as our new positions come up. We have focused on recruiting in areas where we can have more diverse candidates. So the goal is not to take candidates just because they're diverse and reduce and sacrifice the quality of our teachers. It's to recruit high quality and diverse teachers so we can get both out of this. And that is a main goal of HR right now. There is, there are people who are skeptical of the need for diversity and equity and inclusion. And I think we all recognize that. Our job, in addition to helping our students, is to help our community understand that this is a value to our community and it will strengthen all of our students. I think back a couple years ago, we had a book that was up where the district votes, the board votes on books, especially high school books that, are for English literature. One of them was The Hate U Give. Ooh, I'm sorry, I just said I got the red line. So anyway, I think there is a strong need and we are working forward on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill, 2 minutes, thanks.
I really appreciate this question. The diversity issue is a passion of mine for a long time. I had worked in districts. I continue to work in a district currently where a school, quite honestly, where our staff is quite diverse. Our students are quite diverse. And through the correct practices and understanding as far as staff goes, we have created an environment where the kids and ourselves are constantly working in a positive manner towards a bigger idea. And it works very, very well. I know that as time has gone on and as the world has gotten smaller, our children are going to be in a global world. They are going to be with and working with in all sorts of capacities with people of differing backgrounds, differing languages, differing cultures, and differing ideals. There's no one human experience or American experience, and it is what makes us strong. And I would go on further to say that it is a benefit to all of our students to be engaged in curriculum that promotes standing up for our other citizens, our common citizens, standing up for ourselves against forces that could be things that could tear us apart, but through methods that we would want any of our children to have: how to properly protest, how to properly advocate, how to properly help others in need, and including those people and their experiences into our American experience or into our Penfield experience is only going to enrich us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Christin, 2 minutes.
I would agree with Bill. I think that diversity and inclusion is huge. For me personally, being married to a Black man and having biracial children, it hits home for me. As an elementary teacher, we have worked really hard in our district to make sure that we are teaching inclusion and equity and respect every single day. And we do that by creating a safe environment for kids. And as a board member, I want to make sure that our teachers feel supported and our staff feel supported to do just that. Sometimes it's as simple as materials. Little children need to see characters that look like them. They need to be able to relate to that. I know I have been at fault when I looked at some of my books that they didn't necessarily represent all people. And it is so important. And as a district, we have an obligation and a responsibility to do just that. We need to make sure that all children, all people feel valued, they feel respected, they feel heard, that their history is understood and their history is respected. Like Bill said, I agree, like we are better together. Like we need to make sure that our children's voices are heard. And they need to see themselves in other people's faces. So I do agree that we need to diversify our staff. Kids need to see kids that look like themselves. We need to make sure that they know that they're not confined to a certain situation because of the color of their skin, and that they all do indeed matter.
Thank you. Catherine, same question, 2 minutes.
Thank you. So as Mark said, 18% of our student population identifies as non-white. And I feel that this has been a year of great awakening in a lot of ways. We're embarking on a new time, and diversity, equity, and inclusion is very much a part of that for not only the community at large, but Penfield School District is embracing this as well. We have done a lot this past school year, but I don't think anybody would say you've arrived. I would think that everybody would say we're working on it, and we have a lot to learn, and we have a ways to go. But we are learning, and we are moving in that direction. We have partnered with Progression Partners. The district is working with them on school practices and curriculum. We participated, I think every board member participated in the para group forum, the Penfield Anti-Racist Alliance. Cobbles has a diversity, equity, and inclusion community organization. Indian Landing has Project Lead. And the district itself has created a new position, and we are actively recruiting for an assistant superintendent of equity and access. I'm very proud of that. It's innovative in some ways, it's overdue in other ways, but the qualifications for this person will be to include experience with social emotional learning, restorative practices, and culturally responsive education. The ultimate goal, the vision that I have for our staff and our students, is an embracing of diversity in all its forms. And what we want and what we're working towards is to make sure that our students feel that their uniqueness is celebrated. And that is our goal, and that is what we're working towards. Thank you.
Thank you. And Susan, back to the top.
Thank you, Sherry. So I sit myself on 2 diversity, equity, and inclusion committees. So this is really something that's very near and dear to my heart. One of those is a workplace committee. The other is in higher education. I'm also the daughter of Italian immigrants. So I believe wholeheartedly that our diverse backgrounds and the places we all come from, our ancestors, our cultures, those are the experiences that make this country what it is. It's what makes us great. It's what makes us America. So I'm fully committed to diversity and unifying not just the Penfield community, but the county in general, you know, and the state of New York, and really honing in on those efforts. And I support what the district right now has in place. I believe that we need to diversify our students. We need to diversify our staff, most definitely. All students, staff, administrators, they need to feel safe and respected. And we as adults and educators, you know, we can enforce those behaviors in many, many ways by promoting inclusivity, where everyone is in an equal environment, and celebrate the contributions of diverse people in our history. So I do also believe and agree with Nicole and Andris, you know, our district should also be providing resources to families so that we can have these conversations about diversity and inclusion, and our differences, that the things that make us who we are at the table, you know, at home, in our living rooms with our children. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, for the next question, you guys are doing great. Moving on here. For the next question, I'm actually going to start with Mark, and then I'm going to go down in order. So it'll be Nicole, Deli, Andris, Gisele, Susan, Catherine, Christin, Bill. Okay, so that's the order, and I will call your name again. And this question I'm going to read directly as it was turned in. It's not a combined question. And it says, aside from reopening schools, Please name your top 3 priorities that you would like to see the Penfield Board of Education tackle during your tenure on the board. And Mark, we start with you. 2 minutes.
Thank you, Sherry. We always need to look long-term, and as significant and impactful as this pandemic has been, we will get past this, and we need to make sure that we don't lose all the initiatives that we've had prior to that. I think we've talked about diversity and equity, and I think that is definitely one of the top priorities. The other priorities are to continue to integrate social and emotional learning into our curricula. Things like social emotional learning and resilience are the kinds of things that have helped our students cope as well as they have through this pandemic. It lays the foundation for a well-rounded, healthy student, which goes back to one of our key goals, and which is the whole student. Along those lines, we also need to make sure that we are fiscally sound. We have had a great reputation for being fiscally sound. Our credit rating by Moody's is AA3, which is a very high credit rating. We have always stayed within our tax cap, and this year we are not going to have any levy increase. That is all a result of maintaining a long-term focus on what our needs are, when it includes all these initiatives that come up, things that are unexpected, like spending money for computers and laptops when the pandemic came. Also involves long-term vision to make sure we have the facilities and resources for our students. So with that, we need to work with our legislatures to make sure there's no backsliding. And then finally, we just need to make sure that we maintain a high level of academic achievement. And our district was rated number 3 out of 67 districts by the Buffalo Business Journal. Our elementary schools, the lowest one, was rated 18th out of 162. So we have a high level, and we want to continue with high level of achievement. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole?
Thank you, Sherry. I would first like to focus on transparency and two-way communication with the taxpayers in the community. Something that I would like to enact if I become a board member is town hall meetings where, we could set the frequency of those, but the community can come and have an open dialogue with the board. And I think that's important for taxpayers to know that they're heard and have conversations with the board. I'd also like to focus on student achievement and social emotional well-being. And this one really hits home for me. My children have really been impacted by this pandemic, and they because they're in elementary school, luckily they're back in school now and they're happy about that. But this has changed my children, our children. So I think that we really need to focus on the social emotional well-being of the small children, but also the middle school and high school children that are still, greatly impacted by everything that's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Dele, you get this one. 2 minutes.
Thank you. Just like my colleagues have mentioned, our kids are going through a lot now. When they come back fully in September, hopefully, we have resources ready for any of them in need of that support, so they can get used coming back to school again full time. We have to be judicious and be responsible in our spending. We need to encourage and support our superintendent to seek resources from the legislatures, from the state and the federal government, in order to continue the progress the district is experiencing now. Just like Mark said, our district, it's incredible. They are on top of other school districts in the country, I would venture to say. So whatever support the superintendent needs, we need to give it to him to continue on that trend so our kids can continue to be successful and get ready for the world when they finish high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Andris, you get this one next. 2 minutes.
Thank you. Besides opening up schools full time, which is on everyone's mind, I think the number one piece that I've been looking at is the fiscal responsibility. As we look past decade of spending, it's $19 million more now the budget is than it was a decade ago. And you have to look and say, is there $19 million more worth of value there? Not necessarily, you don't want to go through and say cutting. We're just looking at, what is the most value within school? Where do we get the most value for our taxpayer dollars? I think that's one of the key things is we need to look at that. There's so many things that are already set, salaries, things like that for teachers. That's kind of like a bucket that's, always there and that stays there. But there's other pieces that, you have to look at what is the school providing and how does it go about prioritizing what those pieces are. And I think you need a much more solid look at what the budget is and then probably make it a little more transparent with the taxpayers. Because I think there's so many times people say, where's all my money going? Why is it, taxes, each year, tax rates increase, people are paying more each year, and people question where is that money going? And I think that piece of that communication with the community is another focus of mine. Similar to what Nicole said is, how do we bridge that communication gap? So many parents come to board meetings, they speak, and then sometimes they feel like they're not being heard. So there needs to be that two-way communication where how do we go about responding and letting those parents and taxpayers know that we are hearing them and that we are on top of that. And I think the last piece is advocating for student achievement, getting back to the focus of educating our students and preparing them for the future that the world is going to bring them. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan, you're next. 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sherry. So I would agree with both Nicole and Andris, particularly on the communication side and the town hall style of working with the district. Our community comes to board meetings, they speak, and these hearings are not engaging in such a way that our parents feel like the board is hearing them and understanding what their needs and their frustrations are. And also the good qualities that we come and we talk about as well, But I think having a town hall style approach, or at least some form of regular communication with the district outside of just the district emails that we get with updates, I think is a really important aspect of improving, even relationships within the district between the administrators and parents. I also, I think we've learned a lot from this year, and I think working towards a ability to be able to pivot and pivot from in-person education to potentially another virtual situation. We don't really know where this is going, right? We don't know if we're going to find ourselves in a situation in the future or we're going to be back in homeschool and remote learning. And so I'm a tech junkie, so to speak, and so I really engage when it comes to talking about ways to improve technology and ways to make education more accessible for teachers and for students and parents. And then finally, I believe very heavily in enrichment, and I would like to see us restore that and restore the honors programs in the high school. We need to model school like the real world and prepare these kids for what the real world looks like, and really just kind of have a learning environment that is modeling with the workforce and higher education. So thank you.
Thank you. Catherine.
Okay, Sherry, could you please repeat the question?
Yes, and I think I skipped.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I skipped, and I will get back to you. I apologize.
Okay.
Catherine, go ahead. You're fine. I'll repeat the question. It says, aside from reopening schools, please name your top 3 priorities that you would like to see the Penfield Board of Education tackle during your tenure on the board.
Okay. I think the first one would be to continue on with the diversity, equity, and inclusion. I feel that in a lot of ways it's in its infancy in Penfield, and it really needs to be developed. It's a very important aspect of school, real life, and we have a diverse population out here, and so I feel like that's very important. Continuing on with our fiscal responsibility, I know that Penfield has been a very fiscally responsible school district for the tenure that I've already served on, and prior to that, and with long-term planning. One thing that I am very relieved about is that some of our funding that has been denied us for years and years and years, foundation aid funding, has been restored. So we'll be seeing some of that come back over time. And so, like Mark said about our Moody's rating, that indicates that we're quite fiscally responsible and that we know what we're doing. We hired a new superintendent for business who is, he's excellent, and he filled a very big pair of shoes with Dr. Sansucci, but we've got a lot of confidence in Dr. Dreffel. So, so continuing on with that, and then continuing on with our partnerships, our relationships with the PTAs, the PTO, PAB, PACE, SEPTA, all of the other partnerships that we have. These meetings are great. We always have a board member there to the best of our ability. And it's great interactive communication with people who are involved in the school settings. So parents and board members do have those conversations on that level. So those are the things, those are my thoughts on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Christin and Bill, if you could hold off one moment. I skipped poor Gisele. Gisele, same question, 2 minutes. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you. I would say my number one goal would be academic excellence in all the Penfield schools, and I think it all kind of rolls together with fiscal responsibility, so we can keep the rates as low as possible, but still offer excellent quality education to Penfield students. And I think we need to have good goal setting for all of that, and then follow through as far as what the goals are and how we've achieved or kind of missed the mark or whatever, so that we identify the students' needs and justify our decisions based on data as far as what's happening in the schools and with individual students. So I guess it's kind of 3 goals all in one, but mainly the academic excellence that we've always had. I believe that's the most important number one goal for the board. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, back to Christin. 2 minutes, same question.
Okay, thank you. I think our first priority should always be putting our students first. And I think that means all. I think oftentimes when we say putting our students first, we just kind of use it. We kind of throw around that term, but I really think that means all. I think we need to make sure that we are not following a one shoe fits all policy. We have a variety of students with a variety of abilities. We need to ensure that we keep our enrichment opportunities, as well as ensure that we're meeting the needs of our neediest learners, as well as all those learners that fall in between there. I think it's really important that, yes, we're preparing kids for college and we're making sure they're college ready, but I think it's also important that we're celebrating all achievements after school. And some kids choose to go the military or service route. I think that's important that we recognize that and we celebrate that, and that we are making sure we're preparing that for them for that as well. I think it's important that we recognize there are some children that are going to go into the trades, and that is also okay, and that we're preparing that the children for that and providing those opportunities for them while they're in high school to figure out if that is a route that they want to take. Secondly, I think it's important that we keep what we're doing in the district with equity and diversity at a forefront. I do think we've made a lot of progress there. I think it's really important that we continue to make progress there and continue to grow so that all students are feeling respected and all students feel valued. And then lastly, I would say communication, because I think some families have especially struggled during the pandemic, and I'm not sure exactly what that platform should be, if it should be town meetings, or if we need to find one platform where families can find all the answers, because I think when families are anxious and overwhelmed, it's really important that they have very clear communication. Thank you.
Thank you. And Bill, you're on mute.
As a teacher, and I have 3 young children, each very unique. My oldest boy has, throughout this pandemic, kind of just been able to get along to the best of his ability. I have a middle child who has struggled greatly during this time. And I have a young child that I had to go to 5-day schooling. So I've experienced these challenges personally, professionally, and daily. I really like the idea of academic excellence. Penfield is certainly strong in that way and has been known for that. But I believe that in order to keep that academic excellence, we have to continue to create an environment that is going to be beneficial for every single one of our students. It's creating that kind of environment and finding, again, for example, finding very well qualified, great teachers of color who want to come to teach in a place like ours, because the environment is set up there for them to be successful and to do what we would like them to do as well. And to give those students that really truly enriching experience. That'll be an enriching experience for everyone. So from the diversity perspective, I'd like to just finish with that. I think we need to continue to monitor. We really need to monitor our students and continue to advocate for the needs of those students who've been most affected by the pandemic as we move forward, particularly our special education students, among many others. And beyond that, of course, we want to remain financially responsible, fiscally responsible, and we've done that. Again, as one of my colleagues mentioned, we have a very strong credit position. We are coming to the taxpayers with a 0% tax levy increase this budget. We have, because of long-term planning by very excellent people, we're in a good position. We want to remain there. Thank you.
Thank you. So you guys have been at this for about an hour, and you've really answered some comprehensive questions. And what we're going to let you do now is get to your closing statement. We will go back to the top of the ballot order, and Susan, you get to go first, please.
Thank you. Thank you once again, Sherry and Sharon, fellow candidates, and all who are watching this evening. I'm so grateful we could engage in this dialogue, and I hope you have all gotten to know me a little bit better. Being an effective board member requires collaboration and creative thinking to ensure our resources are invested in our classrooms and our tax dollars are used effectively and efficiently. One of the most important skill sets I possess is my ability to listen to all stakeholders, consider all information presented, and develop an action plan for moving forward. I bring ideas and innovation that is grounded in my 20 years of board leadership experience, which has taught me that I have an obligation to represent the people who have elected me. Experience matters in this position. The enemy of progress is complacency. Organizations stay healthy when there is new energy. The time for change is now. Children in this district need to be a priority, and all families need to feel like their voices are being heard. For years, parents have accepted the status quo. In an unprecedented year, parents have spoken up, asked the hard questions, and demanded that the board be responsive to their needs. These calls to action have gone unanswered. Parents, families, and taxpayers deserve better. I am committed to enabling a forum for parents and families to have a voice. I empower parents to continue to pay attention and to ask questions. As the taxpayer, you are the investor in this company. And if the service model does not meet your expectations, you as the customer have the right to demand better. I'm a firm believer in transparency and accountability. I stand united with my running mates, Nicole and Andris Silins, and remain steadfast in my commitment to represent all stakeholders, students, parents, and teachers alike. It is my goal to ensure that students receive the quality education that Penfield is so well known for, and to make certain that our educators have all the resources they need to continue to teach our children in any situation. It would be my honor and privilege to serve you. Thank you all once again for your time.
Thank you. Catherine, 2 minutes as well.
I want to thank everyone again for being here tonight, and I hope this forum has helped you to get to know me better. I have enjoyed my work on the Penfield School Board, and I am proud of the work I have done, and I appreciate the endorsement of the Penfield Education Association. I feel I have given of my time and talent in an honest, transparent, and consistent manner, and have shown flexibility in the interactions with my fellow board members and our superintendent as we discern how to follow the rules and mandates from New York State while being mindful of the welfare of our students. I have advocated with lawmakers. I have attended PTA, PTO, SEPTA, and PAB meetings to exchange news from the board and to receive news from these groups in the spirit of transparency and friendly interaction. I have attended NISBA conferences and Monroe County School Board meetings to further my knowledge in this role. Being a taxpayer, I am forever mindful of my own responsibility to our taxpayers, and I have never been cavalier in this responsibility. But above all, in everything I do in this role and in all school board decisions that I contemplate, it is always the students who are my top priority, their safety, their well-being, and their education. I trust that my record shows my commitment to our students, the taxpayers, and to our community. I have performed my job on the Penfield School Board with integrity and commitment. I feel that we need a board that stays consistent in all its goals, but especially towards safely reopening schools and supporting our students and staff as we slowly move toward a more normal school experience. I am proud of my service, and I ask for your support and your vote so I may continue to serve on the Penfield School Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Christin, your closing statement.
Thank you, Sherry and Sharon, for facilitating tonight, and thank you to all of you that have joined us to learn more about each of us here. The experience I have had for the past 20 years as an elementary teacher and as a parent is what has brought me here tonight. It would be my great pleasure to bring this acquired knowledge, experience, and expertise to the Penfield School Board to ensure that all of our students' needs are met as we navigate all challenges, both our current challenges and the future challenges that we will encounter. I had a fortune that once read, "A school is a building which has 4 walls with tomorrow inside." That tomorrow does indeed belong to all of us. When we do what is best for all kids, we are doing the right thing. As a community member, I am committed to giving back to our tomorrow. Thank you for considering giving me your vote on May 18th.
Thank you. Bill, your closing statement, please.
Thank you. A humble thank you to Sherry Johnson, to Sharon, David Brenner, and the town of Penfield, and all the candidates for making tonight a worthwhile discussion. I was honored to be elected 3 years ago, and through thoughtful community input, research, discussion, and a commitment towards working to consensus, my fellow board members, including Mrs. Catherine Dean and Mr. Mark Elledge, Dr. Putnam and his team, and I have continued to move PSCD under Penfield School District in a positive direction under difficult circumstances. These examples, coupled with the most honorable dedication and flexibility of our teachers, counselors, administrators, coaches, and staff throughout this pandemic, kept educating, feeding, transporting, coaching, and caring for our children, are the primary reasons why we remain such an attractive place for so many to raise their families. None of it happens without them and all of us pulling together. Education is the sum and substance of humanity, both of which are things I would argue we could use more of, and should be about improving the whole student, not just turning them into more productive economic contributors. Despite the uncertainty of our times, I've been able to utilize my experience while working closely with my board colleagues and district personnel to harness our collective ingenuity, expertise, and compassion in addressing the needs of a whole community, as well as each and every whole student. There's no doubt in my mind schools will fully open in the fall. Dr. Putnam has made his thoughts clear on this as well. As the district and board continue to move forward in planning for that full reopening, we have not lost focus of the long-term needs of our various stakeholders. It is for these reasons and because I continue to believe our schools are the core of a strong community, I, William Yaeger, would be grateful for the opportunity to serve as a Penfield School Board member for a second term. Thank you again for your support of our schools and our children, and good evening.
Thank you. Mark, your closing statement, please.
To thank Sherry and Sharon for an engaging evening, and also thank you to David Brenner and the town for making the Zoom event possible, as well as the other candidates for constructive discussion. I hope I've helped you understand what is involved in being a strong member of the board and how I've worked with the board, Catherine Dean and Bill Yaeger, to support our students and community and district. I presented you with how I addressed the vital long-term needs and to make sure we have the ability to provide for the education and health of our students while tending to the immediate needs as they emerge. This is why I've received an endorsement from the Penfield Education Association. In the past 8 years on the board have provided me with a rewarding experience, the most rewarding experience outside of the family. I have seen what our students can do when we provide them with strong education and support their well-being. From when a student walks into kindergarten for the first time to the day I hand them their diploma, I always remember that they are our students, but they are your children. Please give me the honor to continue to serve your children, our students, by re-electing me to the Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole, your closing statement.
Thank you to Sharon and Sherry, and thank you to everybody who's watching this evening. This has been a really great evening. I've appreciated the chance to share my thoughts and beliefs about being a school board member. As a board member, I would like to partner with the community, with the amazing Penfield teachers and administration and staff, in order to bring an equitable learning experience to all children. I bring 18 years of leadership experience, and I'm a mother who wants what is best for every single child in the Penfield schools. Every community member deserves a voice, as well as transparency from their elected board. I love Penfield, and I'm proud to call it my home. I would be honored and humbled to serve as a member of the Penfield School Board. Thank you.
Thank you. And Bandele, your closing remarks.
Thank you. I am running as a board member because of the passion I have for education, because of the growth I want to see in our scholars, in our children, and also to serve as a role model for them on how to treat each other. And also, we are on stage as grown-ups. Our kids are watching us. The way we treat each other, the way we interact with each other, they're watching, they're learning. We have to set the examples for them. We have to build a trust. Through growth exist when we trust in each other and make sure whatever we do, we keep an open mind. You don't know me, but I can assure you, if you give me the opportunity to serve as a board member for Penfield School District, you are going to like it. You're going to enjoy the results. You're going to believe that true change occurs when we trust each other. By working together, we can all share in the knowledge and satisfaction that we have provided for the educational needs of our children, and have built a district where students, parents, teachers, and staff are welcome and they belong regardless of how they look. I ask for your support and for your vote. Thank you for listening to us tonight.
Thank you. Andris, your closing statement, please.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to Sherry and Sharon. I know there's a lot of behind the scenes organization and work that went into this besides what we're seeing tonight. So I want to say thank you for that. And thank you to our viewers for staying with us. This has been a long evening, and for those that are still watching, appreciate it. And a special thank you to PCTV, Dave, Brian, Ryan. I'm not sure if you're in there too, but you guys do a great job with this programming and everything you do for the town as well for their broadcast. So that's a much appreciated during this pandemic time for what you guys are doing for us. Penfield has great teachers and staff and has always been known for providing a great education. And whether you have children in the district or not, I ask that you reflect on the past 12 months of these extraordinary times. And you need to ask yourself, do you feel our children receive the best possible education our Penfield community could provide? Do you see our school going in the right direction? Or is change necessary? These extraordinary times call for extraordinary leadership. And on election day, I ask for your support. And for your support and for your supporting change with the Felts, Silins, and Kavanagh campaign. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. And I don't see her, but Gisele, are you still on? Can you give us your closing statement?
I am here.
Perfect.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
I want to thank everyone also, everyone who came and listened and participated, and there were some great questions. Really appreciate everyone taking the time to put this on so that voters can actually have an idea of what we all believe. And I thank you. Oh, sorry, I already said that. I just really want to close by stating that I believe the rights of the parents in the education of their children are the first priority, and I would always support that right. I look forward to working with the board for consensus on all of the needs and issues that are going on in Penfield schools, and I would consider it an honor and a privilege to serve. I am a big believer in giving back, and I would love to give back to my community by serving on the board. Thank you.
Thank you. This now concludes my portion of the candidate night, but I do want to thank all of you for your thoughtful responses and for your willingness to serve in this capacity. At this time, I am going to turn it back over to our host for the meeting for closing.
Hi, everyone. Before we conclude our evening, on behalf of the district, I would just like to thank our community and candidates tonight, and a special thanks to our moderator, Sherry Johnson. Through her hard work, dedication, and professionalism, she has given us quite a well-run and informative meeting. Again, thanks to our behind-the-scenes guys at PCTV, Dave and Brian, for keeping our technology running smoothly. And just a general reminder that our school board budget, or our school budget vote and board election is coming up this Tuesday, May 18th, just 3 short weeks away, and it will be held at Penfield High School gym. Polls will be open between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. And let's see, for more information on our budget or the board candidates, you can visit our district website. Thanks to everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.